This is Diary of Publisher, and this isn't an easy video to make. What happened in Pahalgam wasn't just an attack. It was a wound to families, to Kashmir, and to an idea we've all slowly trying to rebuild, the idea of peace. A group of 7 terrorists opened fire on a peaceful valley in Pahalgam. The valley is called Baisaran, known for its pine forest, picnic trails, and the rare quiet you only find in the mountains. 26 people died. They were all tourists, couples, fathers, pilgrims, people who had come to experience beauty and instead met with bullets. And this wasn't random, it was targeted. Eyewitness says and only non-Muslim men were picked out, which seems more like a massacre. But even in grief, Kashmir stood tall. The same evening, candlelight vigils took place across the valley. Shopkeepers, students, spiritual leaders all came out for one message, that this is not in our name, not in the name of Kashmiris. Mosques opened their doors to injured tourists. Local Kashmiris, the same ones the terrorists want to divide us from, were the first to help. A man named Saeed Hussain Shah even tried to stop the attackers and lost his life in the process. That's the Kashmir the headlines often ignore. What do we know about the attackers? The group that claimed responsibility is called the TRF, also known as the Resistance Front. But it's just a shadow outfit of Lashkar-e-Taiba, a Pakistani-backed terror group. The attackers were heavily armed, American-made M4s, AK-47s, and even body cams. They spoke Pashto, which is not a language spoken in Kashmir, and wore military fatigues, used sniper-like tactics, and had clear combat training. There is no ambiguity here. This wasn't homegrown chaos, it was a cross-border, well-planned terrorist attack. Why now and why the tourists, you may ask? You see, Kashmir was doing well. In 2004 alone, 2.35 crore tourists visited the valley, which was the highest ever seen. Bollywood had returned. Foreign tourism was up by 300%. And this was a region that was finally breathing again, economically, socially, and spiritually. And the attack tried to rip the hope apart. Because when you strike tourism, you strike the economy. And when the economy falls, so does the promise of peace. See, you make no mistake, this wasn't just about Kashmir. This was psychological warfare, modeled after what we saw in the Hamas attack in Israel last year. High visibility, brutally filmed, and maximum fear. These terror summits were repeatedly held in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Just months before this, representatives from Lashkar, Jaish, and even Hamas were said to be present. This was all premeditated. India responded with immediate diplomatic steps. The Indus Valley Treaty has been suspended. The visas has been cancelled. And Pakistani diplomats has been expelled. There's a talk of possible military options, surgical strikes, air raids, and drone operations. But this is delicate. Pakistan is a nuclear state. The goal has always been deterrence, not escalation. And yes, public anger is high, but our response must also be wise. Here's something that needs to be said. The world leaders condemned the attack, from the US to Israel to China and even Russia. But many Western media outlets refuse to call it terrorism. The BBC, The Guardian, and the New York Times have used words like gunmen and shooting incidents. No one says building collapse for 9/11. So why incident when 26 civilians have been murdered? Words shape perception, and perception shapes policy. Let's not reduce this to numbers. Vinay Narwal, a newlywed naval officer, was killed in front of his wife. Manjanath Rao was celebrating his son's exam results. He was shot dead. Another father was asked his religion before being executed. One woman told the terrorists to shoot her too and was told, no, go and tell Modi. This was hate, directed, deliberate, and terrifying. Kashmir will bloom again, and that's its nature. But will peace ever stay in long enough to take root? As a country, we must mourn. We must pray for departed with silence and not slogans, with sincerity and not spectacle. If you're watching this and feel called, light a diya, say a prayer, do a quiet act of kindness in their name. That's the kind of India they died in. Let it also be the kind of India we live in. This is Diary of Publisher, where stories are remembered and silence speaks too. Jai Hind.